Hello there, Sim0nTrains here, or some people like to call me Sim0nTrains. Now, on Friday and over the weekend, I have put up a YouTube video, and this is the Sim0nTrains Q&A plug. And this is basically a 16-second clip where everybody can ask me a question. And the responses I got to these questions are unbelievable, because I've got the sheets right here, and there's like 4 pages worth of questions. And I'd just like to say, for everyone that asked me a question, and it's all going to be read out today, thank you. I did not expect about 46 questions, to be honest, but thank you for your questions. So without further ado, we are going to start answering some of these questions that I've got on here. Now what I have done is I actually started with the first comment. So the first person that commented gets read out first, and then so on. So without further ado, let's get these questions answered. So the first question I got asked, and I'm going to be looking down while I'm reading the questions. So if I'm looking down like that, I just read the questions out, but I will put them on the side as well. It's from Jamie Lee's Bus Train Productions, and he asked me, what got you into the hobby? And this is a simple answer, to be honest, because when I was younger I was interested in Thomas the Tank Engine, and my dad was also interested in trains at the time. He even had a layout called York. I think it was just like on a board, to be honest. I don't know how big it was, I can't remember, but it was just like a circle peanut track at the end. And also we went to places like the Severn Valley Railway, the West Somerset Railway, the Patent Dartmouth Steam Railway, which is now the Dartmouth Steam Railway, and riding up and down the trains. And that's basically what really got me into the hobby and all that, to be honest. And I haven't really lost it ever since. Even though at school, because I did go to a boarding school in a place called Billinge, and I know I did get bullied because of my hobby and all that, and it's fine, but it never stopped me from loving it, to be honest. So I hope that answers your question. So the next person that asked me a question is Mustapha, Trains and Buses and More, and he asked me a very simple question, to be honest. When does the Class 196 come to the West Midlands Railway? And there is a very simple answer for that. We just don't know yet, especially with the current situation that's going on, the showstopper, etc., whatever you want to call it. We just don't know, because it has delayed a lot of new trains into service. So we just don't know yet, to be honest, but I'm guessing it's going to be 2021. The next person that asked me a question is Daniel's Trains UK, and he asked me, what is your favourite train operating company? Now, it is a very simple question indeed, but the answer is a bit harder than you think, to be honest, because there are so many good train operating companies out there. But I'm guessing my favourite one, it is a very tough question, to be honest. I would have to say, I think I'll go with ScotRail, Abellio ScotRail, because I do like Scotland, to be honest, and with the current situation going on at the moment, I really, really do miss Scotland, to be honest. So the next person asked me a question is David Ramsay, and he asked me, do you ever look back at your older videos and think about how much both you and your content has changed? And yes, I do, actually. That is the honest truth. There is actually a quick story that I'd like to share with you as well, because last week I was travelling back on the bus from work, and I actually watched about 10 minutes, the whole 10 minutes of my first vlog, The Big Trip, which was done in January 16th, 2012. And when I look back at them, I absolutely think, what the hell, and I do actually cringe over them. Even when I get asked about the return to Moorgate, I do actually cringe over it, to be honest. Because I'm thinking I should not have done that, but I did, and it's quite funny at the time. But yeah, I know the content has changed drastically, and yes, I've had people commented say that I have improved myself, and I'm grateful for those comments. But there is actually a goal in 2021 that I want to make myself better, and that's, being honest with you, I want to try and make this channel better in 2021. It's good, but I want to see it better, and I know you would like to see better content as well on this channel. So, but with the current situation at the moment, we just don't know what happens yet. But that's one thing. That is my New Year's resolution for 2021. The next question I got asked was from Trainspotter UK, and he asked, what is your favourite train station? Again, this is the same like with Daniel Trains UK's question. It is a very simple question, but the answer is very, very tough, because there is a lot of good railway stations in the UK. But if I have to choose one, and I will always say this one to be honest, it's going to be Northallerton on the East Coast Main Line. Now the reason why I say Northallerton is because it's very high speeds on that route, and it's on a very long straight, so you could see trains coming from a mile away, even though they do zoom through quickly as expected. So I'm guessing it's going to be Northallerton, which is going to be my favourite train station in the UK. So the next question I got asked was from Street Rambler, and she asked me, what are your favourite liveries? Now before I answer that question, because I noticed there's some YouTubers that actually say livery, and I know one of them is going to be asking me questions which are coming up very soon. But some people say liveries and I say liveries, so I don't know what the pronunciation is for that, to be honest. But my favourite liveries, that is another tough one to be honest, but there is some good sectorisation liveries like Regional Railways, Network South East, the Dutch livery. But if you're asking for like a modern train livery, that is a very tough question indeed. I know, honestly, it is a very tough. I think I would go with a Belly of ScotRail. They have a nice livery. But there are some liveries that are just plain bland. And it is a very tough one to be honest. But I think liveries of all time, I would say the Intercity livery, Regional Railways, Network South East. Basically some of the sectorisation liveries, because they were very good liveries to be honest. But modern ones, it's a very tough one to call. That's being honest with you. But I would go with a Belly of ScotRail. I know it's basically blue, but it does have the Scottish flag on it as well, which is brilliant. But the Inter 7 City livery is also a good one as well on the HSTs. Now the next question I got asked is from Travel Jack Journeys. Hi Jack. And the question he asked me, what has the hardest thing about this year in regards to COVID? And this was very hard indeed this year, to be honest. And I think back in March when we had this full lockdown was really very hard at first, because you just didn't know what to do. And I ended up was planning to put my Scotland blogs twice a week, and I had to put it once a week just so I had the content. So it was a very tough decision to do that. But there has been very tough decisions during this outbreak, this pandemic. Like one of the things that I had to do was come up with some ideas. And there has been some good things from this pandemic that has been shown on my YouTube channel, like the walking journeys, because that is something that I would never have done if it wasn't for the pandemic. So we had to adapt to different ways. It has really been hard, to be honest. But in November though, when they announced the second lockdown, it's like, right, I can go back to the walking journeys. So it was much easier in the second lockdown than it was in the first lockdown. And since they have this tier 4 now, which is basically the November's lockdown rules, I will not be surprised if Staffordshire does go into tier 4. And the cases in Staffordshire are rising, to be honest. So I reckon in January, it could be the walking journeys again. I'm hoping the railway journeys, because I do love the railway journeys, and with 2021, as I mentioned in a previous question, I do want to improve myself. But I have a feeling that in the January 2021, it could be walking journeys that could be started off with. But the problem with the walking journeys is you're limited to what you can do with the walking journeys. So, like the last one I put up was, how could you see the chase line from the ground level? I can't remember the title was. But literally that video was only planned about an hour or two before I started filming it, because I was thinking what to do, and that's being honest. So it has really been tough. A quick story was to this as well. Back in March, about Thursday, this is a few days after the lockdown started, I was in the back of the warehouse and I literally had my hands on like this on a cage, and I was like, how in the hell am I going to survive this? But a few weeks later, it just adapted to like the new normal. So hopefully that answers your question. It has really been very tough with COVID, but You just got to try and carry on, try do what you can, and that's it really. Next question I got asked is from GlitchyBoy07, and he asked me a very simple question. Do you like GWR? And there's a very simple answer to this: yes. Yes, I do like the Great Western Railway. Now, it doesn't matter if it's from the steam era, with the castles, the kings, the halls, the manors. I do like that era as well, because I do like the Great Western Railway steam locomotives. But if you talk about the modern era, yes, I do like the modern era as well, because they've got Class 158s, Class 150s, the Class 800s, the Class 43 HSTs. But if you talk about between them two eras, like the Westerns, the warships, the high mechs, anything Western region related, I do like indeed. So the answer to that is, do I like the GWR? Yes. Any era, I like the Great Western Railway. Now my next question is from Oliver Clarke, and he asked me, would you ever hope your trains and stuff ever become a reality by working on the railways? Now, honestly, this is my dream job, to be honest, working on the railways. But the problem is, I do actually have a job at the moment. I work in retail, and it has really been tough this year as well in retail, because you try to get people to social distance and they just don't bloody listen, to be honest. But if it wasn't for COVID, I probably would try to get railway jobs, to be honest. But last year, I think I just got fed up with the place that I was working at, to be honest. I just wanted to quit, and that's being honest. And I think because of the pandemic, it has put that on hold a bit, my plans, and it's not been so bad until recently that, I don't know, one day I could work on the railways, one day I could just stay where I am, because when I'm staying where I am, actually helps me plan stuff so I can film on 3 days, work on 4 days. And plus it also brings in the money to fund these trips as well. So hopefully that answers your question, but hopefully one day I could do my dream job, but we'll have to wait and see. It's just the confidence, I think, that's holding me back. So the next question I got asked is from MaxRE, and he asked me, do you prefer Bergen trains or Banty West Coast? Example, better liveries. Now, honestly, I have grown up with Bergen trains quite a lot from privatisation when it started. I remember back in like the late 90s when they had like mixed weights of coaches of the old Intercity livery and the Virgin livery, the red and black livery. And then I've seen these Pendolinos come in. In fact, my first Pendolino I saw was sitting on platform 6 on the mail platform. I can't remember which one it was, at Stafford. And it was 390010. I know it was named at the time differently. I can't remember the name, but it was something to do with Manchester. I think it was Manchester Commonwealth Games. If you know what name it was back in the early 2000s, please feel free to put it in the comments. But that was my first Pendolino I ever saw, to be honest, at Stafford. But do I prefer Virgin trains over Vanti? I would say yes, to be honest, because I actually grew up with Virgin trains. But don't get me wrong, the Vanti West Coast have done a reasonably good job over the past year. And their livery is alright as well, but I think any day, give me Virgin trains. So the next 3 questions I got asked is from Sam Hardy Blogs. And he asked me, hi Simon, how are you? I'm fine, thank you very much. Thanks for asking. Simple as that, really. The second question is, which Doctors in Doctor Who do you like? Now, anything up to the classics I haven't watched, so I can't really comment on them, to be honest, because I have been watching it from 2005 onwards. And Christopher Eccleston, when he did the Doctor, was very good indeed. I actually do like the Christopher Eccleston episodes. I know he did one series, but they were good indeed. David Tennant, he was also a brilliant Doctor. Did actually like watching David Tennant's episodes. Matt Smith, he was good, but some of the episodes I did not like, to be honest. But there were some good ones from Matt Smith when they were. Peter Capaldi, he was a very good Doctor, but some of the towards the end I don't think I enjoyed them, to be honest. But they were still good episodes from Peter Capaldi. But his name is so hard to pronounce. Peter Capaldi. There we go, got it. And Jodie Whittaker. And now there were some good episodes from her as well. I know she's the first female doctor, and there were some very good episodes from her as well. I think towards the end though, I think they did lack a bit, but some towards the end would be very good as well. So I do like her episodes as well. So anything like that, I think some of the doctors have been good. And the last question he asked, what are your top 10 or 5 blogs that you did this year, if they're railway or walking ones? Now I'm just going to do a brief top 5 to be honest, because of this year. Anything that's Scotland related was good. I did like going to Scotland, and I do miss Scotland to be honest. Brinley Heath, which was a disused railway station in the Cannock Chase area. That was also a brilliant one that I liked enjoying doing. And then another disused railway station I went to was Armitage, and I did enjoy walking to Armitage along the Trent and Mersey Canal. Didcot Railway Centre, where I went to Didcot. That was also a good one indeed as well, because I did actually met Paul and Rebecca Whitewick at Didcot Railway Centre. They were very nice people to chat to as well. And the last one I would say is the 3rd of August, when I went to Witness. Now there is a reason why that I chose that one, because my next person that's asked me questions I did meet that day. And Sam Hardy Blogs also says thank you, and plus a Merry Christmas as well, and a Merry Christmas to you as well. The next person that asked me 5 questions, well it's actually 4 and a 4B. Before I even mention her name, and I think we know who this is going to be honest, I just want to say, like, do subscribe to her channel because she really does brilliant content. And I will keep on praising her to be honest, because every video she does, she gets better and better and better. And I think one of the few things of 2020 this year that she's really made 2020 her year. And I'm looking forward to seeing her videos in 2021. And hopefully they're better than 2020. But this YouTuber that I'm on about is GLovesTrains. And she's asked me, as I said, 5 questions, even though it's 4 and 4p. But first of all, she's asked me, are we going to see more cyber trade gate kicks? Now, just for her, here's a cyber trade gate kick. Secondly, she asked, what has been the blogging highlight of the year? Now, I'm going to be honest with you, there has been some good blogging highlights this year, but I would say the Fallowfield Loop line. On a technicality, I think this was the very first Sim0nTrains walking journey that I did, even though I did it as a railway journey. But we walked it from Manchester, well, we walked it and took the tram from Manchester Central to St Werburgh's Road, and then walked it from St Werburgh's Road to Fairfield, and then I took the train to Gorton. But I did walk the Fallowfield Loop line. That was one of my brilliant videos I've ever done, to be honest. But don't get me wrong, I think they've all been brilliant, but me personally, I think that was one of my highlights that I've done this year, which was brilliant. The next question she asked, any international trains would you like to travel on? Now that was a tough one. I would say the Orient Express I think would be a good one. Haven't done that one. The Glacier Express. I think a ride behind a Norfolk and Western J class number 611 is also a good one to ride on as well that I want to do, but we just don't know yet because of this pandemic and all that. But I have honestly been international for 2 years, between 2016 and 2017, because I have been over to Belgium, the Netherlands, and in 2016 I have been over to Germany as well. The next question she asked me, simple one, best bit of a Christmas dinner? Pigs in blankets. That's easy as that, to be honest. And this is the 4B question, even though it's technically question 5. Ever done a station all-nighter? I have done 2 actually. The first one I did was actually in Carlisle. And I did do an overnighter in Carlisle. That was brilliant, to be honest. But the second station overnighter I did, and the last one, was Preston. Spent the whole night at Preston railway station. That was brilliant as well. So hopefully I answered all your questions, GLovesTrains. And just for all time's sakes, here's another Sim0nTrains gate kick. The next person that asked me a question is J444, and he asked me, do you think train travel is expensive as prices have gone up? And to be honest, yes, train travel is expensive in the UK. Here's a good example. If I want to get from Reuben Trent Valley to Manchester Piccadilly, it's costing me about 20 quid or less, maybe £21. I don't know at the top of my head. But if you travel from Reuben Town Railway Station to Manchester Piccadilly, that extra 3 minutes of the journey is £20 more. And this year as well, with the pandemic, has not been helpful indeed with the train travelling, with the tickets and all that. Because you just can't get the advance fares. And if you do, the advance fares are more higher than they should be. Like, you can get down to London for a good £5 for Reuben Trent Valley sometimes, maybe £6. But what they show is it's just a £9 advance ticket fare. And on the way back, you could probably get a ticket for like £3.75 or something like that. I can't remember the prices. But they're showing the £9 ticket. So, especially this year, the ticket prices have been ridiculous. And it has really been a frustration as well. But you can understand with some services like cross country, London North Eastern Railway, Fancy West Coast, you've got to book a seat in advance. You can understand that. But it has been a nightmare with the tickets as well, to be planning stuff as well. So yes, I would say the fares are expensive, to be honest. But there is some ways you can make them cheaper, like split ticketing, which I have done in the past. It does really help. Now the next 3 questions that I got asked are from TicoXotar. Hopefully that's right, but for sure we just call him Tico. Now he's asked me 3 questions, and the first question is, what's your favourite train journey? Now that is a very tough one indeed, because there's a lot of train journeys that I do like indeed. But I would say if I had to pick one, it's boarding a train at Crewe and just going up to Scotland on the West Coast Main Line to Glasgow Central. Because it hypes and it's the start of my journey into Scotland, which I do like going to Scotland. I did mention this in the Q&As previously, and I think that would be the best journeys that I do like, to be honest. It hypes me going to Scotland, and I do like going to Scotland. The second question he asked me is, which YouTuber or rail enthusiast would you like to collab with? Now, honestly, there are a few YouTubers out there that I wouldn't mind collabing with. If you asked me to do a collab, I'd be happy to be honest. But I wouldn't mind, if it's you, Tico, I wouldn't mind collabing with you in the future. I wouldn't mind collabing with GLovesTrains in the future. I wouldn't mind collabing with Paul and Becca Whitewick in the future. Have a look around some disused railway stations in Staffordshire or tunnels and all that. Because they do enjoy some disused railway stations. I do like watching them, actually, to be honest. That's another good channel to watch, and if that's the case in the future, I wouldn't mind collabing with them, having a look at a few Staffordshire railway stations that were disused. Nodrog, wouldn't mind collabing with Nodrog. And last week he did a live stream, and he did say in the live stream, wouldn't mind doing something with me in the future. And to be honest, I actually do appreciate that comment. I never asked him. He just came out with that on the live stream, and to be honest, if the case to do something with Nodrog in the future does happen, I definitely would say yes. I wouldn't mind doing something with Jeff Marshall as well, or all the stations. I wouldn't mind collaborating with them as well. But unfortunately, with the pandemic at the moment, it is quite difficult to do collaborations, and hopefully once this all clears up, I could be appearing in other YouTubers' videos in the future, and if they ask me, I would say yes. However though, there's one YouTuber that I have done a collab with in the past twice, and I would say no in the future, and that is Ghost Stations 101. I will not collab with her again. And the last question he asked me, what are the plans for Sim0nTrains for 2021? And it is to make some good videos, to be honest, for you of course, because at the end of the day, YouTube is basically the information area and entertainment area, and the videos for YouTube are actually for the viewers. And I wouldn't mind doing some more railway journeys, some more walking journeys if that's the case. But I think in 2021 it's to improve myself, to be honest. As I mentioned in a previous question, to try and improve myself on YouTube. That's my plans for 2021. The next question comes from Ricky Nowis. I think that's how you say it, or Nowis. If I do get that wrong, I do apologise. But he asked me, what's your favourite line to travel along? And again, I think that's basically the same as Tico's question, which is going up the West Coast Main Line from Crewe to Glasgow Central because it's the start of my Scottish holiday. But in all seriousness, that is also a hard question because there's loads of lines that I do like to travel on. Like I do like to travel along the Dawlish seawall. I do like to travel. There's just lots, to be honest, but to pick one, I would say travelling on the Dawlish seawall, because even though I did say in the last questions I do like going from Crewe to Glasgow, I just want to change the answer a bit so it's not the same answer. So yeah, I would say travelling on the Dawlish seawall between Dawlish Warren and Taymouth and Newton Abbot is probably one of my favourite lines to travel on, the River Aire line. The next question I got asked is from Reuben Ashwell, and he's asked me, what are some of your other interests apart from trains? Well, I do like watching the wrestling. Like if it's World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, Impact Wrestling. I do like watching the wrestling, to be honest, and that's another thing I've grew up with as well, with the wrestling. Other stuff, reading. But to be honest, there is reading train books, to be honest. On the computers, I don't really have much other interests than trains, to be honest, but it is very interesting indeed. There's also some, I do watch YouTube as well. There is some other stuff that I do watch apart from YouTube. As I mentioned before, Paul and Rebecca Whitewick. Well, Rebecca Whitewick has a channel called Rebecca's Nest, and I do watch some of her videos, and they're not train related actually. So I do watch some of the quirky histories and all that, but yeah, other interests, I think maybe the other one is wrestling. The next question comes from a YouTuber who I've met a few times actually, and his name is Swaringkevo, or Kevo. No, it's Kevo, I think. Swaringkevo. So hello to you, Kevin. And he's asked me, do you prefer steam, diesel or electric locomotives? Now, again, this is a tough one because I try and base my channel on anything really, so it could be steam, diesel, electric, multiple units, light rail, even the London Underground. But if I have to pick 3 out of them, I will go with steam, to be honest. Now the next question I got asked is actually someone who comments in every video, and I do appreciate his comments and I do appreciate all your comments. And this is EssexLad8919. Now before I answer his question, I just want to say something to you, EssexLad8919. And if you do post any comments with links in the future, they might be put in held for review because of how YouTube is playing up at the moment with links and all that. So any website links or anything like that, it might go into held for review. So I'm not too sure on that, but still post them up anyway. But he's asked me, which train operator is the best in the UK? Again, that is another tough question, but I would say I do like L&ER because they got the 91s. I do like ScotRail. It is a very tough question to ask that one, but I would say I'll probably go with ScotRail again, to be honest. The next question comes from Scottish Trainspotter. I did a Scottish accent there as well, but he's asked me, what are the best railway journeys or stations you have been on? Now, I did say the best railway journey. Actually, no, I did say this earlier, but I will put this in right now. And the best railway journey I've been on is the Highland Chieftain. From London King's Cross to Inverness. And that was 8 hours on the HST. If you do it these days, it's going to be on a class 800 Azuma or 801. I think it's 800 Azuma. But when I did it, it was a HST. And I got a first class ticket with a rail card for about 50 quid. And it was an 8 hour journey. And that was one of my best railway journeys I ever done, to be honest. And best railway stations, again, it is a tough one. But again, I would say Northampton. Because I just like the East Coast Main Line as well. Even though I'm on the West Coast Main Line, I do like the East Coast Main Line. So the next question is from Sam's Blogs, Trains and More. Hello, Sam. Now he's asked me 2 questions. And the first question, he says, how long have you been on YouTube? I started my YouTube back in 2010. I think it was either January or February 2010. So I have been on YouTube for 10 years, but the blogs, I've actually started them 8 years ago. And the second question is, how many subscribers / friends have you met along the way? And this is a very difficult answer because I have lost count, to be honest. With my YouTube channel, I have made friends, I've made enemies, I've made frenemies. It's that answer, I've just lost count, so I can't unfortunately give you an answer for that, I'm afraid, Sam. But any friends that I do meet, and I'm still friends with them, I do chat to them as well, so I honestly can't answer that because I just don't know the answer. But I think it's loads. Now the next 4 questions I got asked is from Jordan Transport Adventures. Now Jordan has been in my videos before. He's the Scottish guy that I'm usually with sometimes. And the 4 questions he asked me, right? Question 1. Will Sim0nTrains ever go back to the old days with the crazy side of 2012? For God's sakes. I'm going to say no, because the problem with this channel is now there is actually young people that do watch it, so the effort of blinding, I won't be able to do that again, and if I do effort blind, I have to censor it. But the problem with the 2012 side was it was very entertaining. So I think what for 2021 is I might entertain in that way, but I might have to keep it as normal as well. I just don't know yet. He might make an appearance, he might not. Question 2. Will you ever travel to the USA or places like that? In the future, yes. I do have a friend who lives actually in New York, and his YouTube channel is JBS. I think he's renamed it something else now, but it was called JBS. And his name is John Simpson. And he actually has come over to the UK a few times, and we do actually hang around sometimes. But I wouldn't mind one day returning the favour going to America, but with the pandemic at the moment and with Trump, you just don't know at the moment. But other places, yeah, I wouldn't mind going to other places. But probably in the future there is plans for European holidays, but again, it's the current situation that has stopped it at the moment, so we just don't know yet. Question number 3 is a hilarious one. When do you think you will ever get yourself a lassie and settle down? I just don't know yet, to be honest. I don't mind having a girlfriend, but if I do that, I might have to reduce these videos and stop that. We just don't know what life has in front of us. That's the honest answer. Maybe one day, maybe not. And the last question he asked me, least favourite train event you've been to? Now there was one a couple of years ago. I did actually go to Tyseley. Now I do like going to Tyseley because they have an open day at their locomotive works, but there was one event when the turntable was out of order, and I went on the Sunday and it was a bit dull actually. Don't get me wrong, Vintage Trains is a good rail operator, but I think that event was really quite dull, to be honest, because there wasn't really much there and they couldn't really do much, to be honest, which is understandable. But I think it was from 2018 or 2019. So I think that's one of my least favourites, to be honest. Next question is from Maverick Hunter Daniel. And he asked me, and this is a really, really, really good question, to be honest. You have been awarded one train to drive. What train will it be? You may pick any train regardless what country it runs in. So basically, the simple way he's asked me, if I got a chance to drive a train, which one would it be? I would say I'll actually go for the Automatic Edgecombe, which is a Great Western Railway Castle class. I wouldn't mind driving a Castle class, but steam trains I think a bit more complicated. But driving any train is not easy, I don't think. It is complicated because of all the things. I wouldn't mind driving a Pacer actually as well. But yeah, if I had to pick one train, I would have to drive a Great Western Railway Castle class. The next question is from Daniel Kiersey. Now he's asked me, well, it's actually more of a request than a question, to be honest, but I will answer this. Please can you fill some transport for Wales between Shrewsbury and Aberystwyth and Barmouth and Pwllheli in the future as requested? Now, usually I would say no, because I would try to avoid the hourly wait stations, but it might be something in the future actually, because the problem with my railway channel is I do go to the same railway stations each time. Like Darlington I go yearly, Northampton I might go yearly, Crewe I might go yearly, Stafford I go yearly, Rooty Trent Valley I go all the time, Preston I might go yearly. So the problem is with the channel is with the blogs is that you do see me go to these same old places again. But I haven't been on the Cambrian since 2010 because there is actually videos on my YouTube channel, very early ones, which is a week in Wales, so they're just like filming trains in Wales. And there has been some footage from the Cambrian coast at Portmaddock, I think. So the answer to that would have been no, because I don't like visiting hourly stations, but to change it differently I would say yes. So in the future there might be a trip on the Cambrian coast. I have recently, a while back, been looking at Dovey Junction as well, and I think you can do Dovey Junction. There is a sweet spot you can do trains at Dovey Junction. So I would actually say yes, to be honest. It might be something in the future, but we can't do it at the moment because of the coronavirus. And also Wales have been put back into a lockdown again. And this is also something that I do want to say. The Christmas Eve episode is actually filmed in Wales. But this was filmed early December. That's all I'm saying on the Christmas Eve episode for now. But the Christmas Eve episode is actually filmed in Wales. Well, actually, 99% of it was filmed in Wales. I'm not saying what it's all about yet, but that's all I'm saying for the Christmas Eve episode. It has been filmed in South Wales. So yes, in the future I might look at the Cambrian coast, to be honest. We'll see anyway. The next question I got asked is from AR Entertainment. I thought it was AB Entertainment, but I think it could be AR Entertainment. I know this is Adam, so hello Adam. And the question he asked me, have you ever visited the Blackpool South and Clone lines? If not, do you have plans to visit them in the future? Now, I have visited the Blackpool South line in the past because I did do a trip to Blackpool South and then went back to Soldwick to do some filming at Soldwick. But for Clone though, no, I have not been there, but that is a line that I do want to clear, to be honest. So yes, there is plans in the future to visit Clone, but Blackpool South, maybe, maybe not, to be honest. We'll see how we go in the future. So the next question I got asked from Davetheravepiwo. If I do get that pronunciation wrong, I really do apologise. And if anyone that got wrong, I also do apologise as well. But he's asked me 3 questions. And the first question is, and this is actually from a video in 2012, to be honest. You once laughed at the prospect of the noble M5000 trams being EMU of the year, given that now they're the undisputed pioneer of the light rail in the UK. Have you changed your opinion? Honestly, yes. The Manchester Metrolink was the pioneer of the trams, but even though they are the pioneer of the trams, the modern light railway system, the Tyne-Wear Metro was there before the Manchester Metrolink, and technically I would say the Tyne-Wear Metro is the pioneer of the light railway system. But for trams, yes, Manchester is the pioneer of the trams. But what they don't have is the first tram trains, which Sheffield have. And also the West Midlands, on the Midland Metro, or the West Midlands Metro, we have the first ever battery powered trams in the UK. So I would say yes, Manchester, I would change my mind saying Manchester is a good network, to be honest. It's actually probably one of the biggest light rail networks in the UK. The second question he asked, it's been a while since we've seen any Simon/Ian collabs. What's happened? Well, after what happened in 2017, won't go into any detail, Ian decided to take a break from it. And slowly has been coming back to do his own blogs, but the problem is at the moment is, because half my family don't live at home, is that someone needs to be at home all the time, and I won't go into it because it's a bit personal, all that. So it is quite difficult to try and collab with Ian, my brother, again. And the last one, and this is a very interesting one actually, and I do have some stuff over here. if I could just pick it up, because it's been sitting there for 2 hours, which I'll show you in a second, is he means with the greatest respect, and to be honest, he does really, and any bad criticism is good criticism. But I think sometimes your title/intro could be more shorter. By that I mean, do you have a series of videos? Is it clear what the purpose of the video series is, but no need to play a full intro each time? And if it's clear what the series is about, like a short 10-20 second intro, we'll do like Jeff Marshall's Disused railway station. And yeah, I do agree. I'll be honest, right, people sometimes might agree with me as well, is that my intro is good, but it is also long. And yes, it does need to be shortened down, to be honest, and I think that's one thing I'll be looking for in 2021. Because what I'm going to show you is some audience retention graphs. Now the first one is from the Great Western Diverts in Gloucestershire. Now this was filmed in November, before the second lockdown. Now as you can see here, where am I? There. Now it won't pick it up. There we go. In the first 50 seconds of my video, that's how many people actually do watch the video. See, the intro is there. You'll see that in my intro. But that's how many people switch off from the intro. 56% stay to watch the intro. And then I think about 44% just either skip it or don't watch it. So yes, it does really hurt the YouTube channel, that intro does. Even though it's a good intro, it is a very long intro, it does hurt the channel. And this one is from A Journey to Worcestershire Parkway. Now what I did was I actually hid it at the beginning, and that actually had people's attention. But again, when the intro was rolled, now I can't even see, there we go. 1 minute and 41 into the video, only 50% is watching. And it does actually spike up as well after that. So I think people are skipping the intro. So hopefully that answers your question. But yeah, I think that intro will have to be sorted out, to be honest. I don't mind keeping it. It's going to be on the Christmas Day episode. But I think in 2021 the intro will have to be changed. The next person that asked me a question is James Glossop. And he's asked me 3 questions, to be honest. Now the first question that he's asked: what station, disused or current, have you enjoyed visiting across the years? Now, I'm going to actually answer that in 2 questions. But current station, I would say Northampton. That is a brilliant station to visit. But disused one, I would actually say Manchester Mayfield, because it was actually my first visit to a disused railway station, and I actually went on a Jonathan Schofield tour. And it was absolutely brilliant to go around that station to have a look. Indeed, so I would say, but the disused station I like visiting was Manchester Mayfield, but there are some that have visited before and they are good indeed. The next question he asked me: what locomotive have you been fascinated over the most? Again, I would say anything Great Western Railway steam locomotives, to be honest. Anything Great Western Railway. Like, I do like some of the 37s, I do like the 33s, I do like the Class 50s. It is a tough question. I do like a lot of locos, and the only one that I don't really like at the moment is the Class 139s, the Paddy People Movers. Really bumpy on the Stourbridge shuttle line. And the last question: are there any disused railway stations that you would like to visit next year? And yes, there is one actually. And you could blame GLovesTrains for this, to be honest. In a good way, I mean, not in a bad way. But in one of her videos, Exploring the Northwest by Train, she did visit a disused railway station. I think it's Higher Poynton. And I had my eye on this for a while because someone did ask me about this. And hopefully next year, I want to walk the Macclesfield to Rosehill Marple line. So if there is a disused railway stations and line that I do want to visit next year in 2021, it is definitely Macclesfield to Rosehill Marple. So the next question I got asked is from Joshua Platt, and he asked me, what's the first Trainspotter video you've done since you created your channel? Now, I created my channel back in 2010, and the first video I would say was actually a Class 150 leaving Russia Trent Valley that I uploaded. But the first like train spotting video, like series of combination clips, was called Night Scenes at Russia Trent Valley Railway Station. Now they were just random clips of trains passing through Russia Trent Valley at the night time. So I think that was my first ever one. But when I did them though, they were on a Samsung ES65 camera. So I had a camera on me filming them while I was doing it. So the next question is from SteamGent. And he asked me, will you be making any more on train films? They're absolutely favourite, Steam of course. Now what he meant by that is basically sometimes I film on-board footage on the trains. It could be multiple units, it could be diesels, it could be steam, especially at the galas. Now I did used to do them on the main line out the window as well, but you can't do that these days. But I do have a brilliant video of the Royal Scot between Bangor and Llandudno Junction, which I filmed out the train window. Not me out the window of course, but by camcorder. The answer is yes, I wouldn't mind making some of them videos in the future. I might still have some that have been edited yet, so I might be editing them soon. But yes, I will try and make some more in the future, but again, it's the pandemic that's stopping me from making them. So as soon as the pandemic hits, the gardens come back on, there might be some more in the future. Now I've only got 2 more questions left, and the next question is from Sara B. Any special guests appearing in your upcoming railway journeys? Now at the moment there is only 2 railway journeys filmed. That's the Christmas Eve episode and the Christmas Day episode. Now there might be some on the Christmas Day episode, there might be on the Christmas Eve episode, but there may not be. But on the Christmas Day episode there is a few people actually that will appear. I'm not saying who they are yet, but I will say one person though, and that's Millie with Stanston Junction. Because I did actually ask her if I could use a bit of her live stream footage to put in the video, and she was happy with it indeed. Now if you don't know who Millie with Stanston Junction is, she actually has an engaged layout called Millie with Stanston Junction, and she has a double gauge layout. She's a model rail enthusiast, but she does go out and about to film the live trains as well, the big trains, and especially about 11:30 or midnight she does film the Caledonian sleeper arriving and departing Crewe station, and her live streams are absolutely brilliant indeed to watch. If you haven't subscribed to Millie with Stanston Junction, definitely a YouTuber to subscribe to. So that clip, because she did a live stream at Crewe waiting for the Royal Scot, not the steam locomotive, the charter, and I was hiding behind a post or something. I just appeared out the post there because I was watching a live stream as well. I appeared out the post and said, and a hello to you as well. And we just burst out laughing. It was absolutely hilarious. But yeah, thank you to Millie with Stanston Junction for allowing me to use that clip in an upcoming blog. But as for upcoming guests, there may be, there may not be. Just have to wait and see for the Christmas Day episodes and the Christmas Eve episodes. And the very last question is actually from a good friend of mine who I've known for a long while. And his name is Richard Harnetty. Definitely subscribe to his YouTube channel. He mainly does Steam related videos, but with the pandemic at the moment it has been difficult to try and get some Steam videos filmed and all that. But he does film diesel electric as well, but it's mainly Steam he focuses on, and definitely subscribe to his channel, Richard Harnetty. And he asked me, what has been the most memorable moment since the Rail Journey blogs began? And that is the hardest question to ask, because there has been loads. There has been lots. I know back in 2013, me, Richard Harnetty and my brother Ian, we actually went to the National Railway Museum for the Manard's 75th anniversary. The Highland Chieftain riding from London King's Cross to Inverness. I've been riding the Carlock Elsh line. The walking journeys, there have been some memorable ones like walking through Great Haywood, Little Haywood and Colwich, walking to Brindley Heath. There's just been so many, it's just really hard to choose one. And to be honest, I'm not going to actually choose a memorable one, because it's just been so many. Just been so many indeed. It's like 8 years of blogging. But if I have to choose one, I think it's the 1822 mile trip with Highland Chieftain, the Carlock Elsh, the Far North line I did, and a day in Glasgow. It literally a 3 hour video on YouTube, that is. It's 4 days into one. Now, if you got this far in the video, I do have to say a special thank you to watching this. I know it's gone on probably a bit longer than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was like not going to be many questions, but 46 questions was really a great amount. And the people who asked these questions, I want to say a special thank you to you as well for asking them, to be honest. And I have tried my best to answer them as best I can. But let's talk about the Christmas Eve, Christmas Day episodes. Now, as I mentioned in the Q&A, I know you said blog then, but it's a Q&A blog. But as I mentioned before, I did hint it that it's going to be a South Wales Christmas Eve special. Now, I'm not going to say what I'm down there for, but that's all you're going to get for now. Now, it has been filmed in early December. It's just been filmed after the second lockdown in England and the third lockdown that's happened in Wales right now. And the Christmas Day episode is actually filmed a bit north. But that's all I'm saying for now, because I don't really want to spoil the surprises of what I've had in store for Christmas Eve and the Christmas Day episodes. Because I want to make them a bit special if I can. I know one is about 30 odd minutes and the other is about 47 minutes. That's the durations of it. But also in 2021, I want to try and definitely 100% improve myself, commit myself to making better content for you, because at the end of the day, you're using your time to watch this Q&A, my railway journeys, any trains at videos, and I would say thank you for watching them all, well, or some of them. But at the end of the day, I want to make it a better YouTube experience for the viewer, because that's what you come on for. And previously in the past, I'm thinking it's all about me, but it's not all about me. It's actually all about you lot. And I think that's the problem I have with YouTube. But yeah, 2021, I definitely want to improve myself, as I mentioned in the questions. So I'm actually going to end this now. So feel free to give this a like. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And I will see you for Christmas Eve, for the Christmas Eve special that I've got planned in South Wales. And as I mentioned before, this was filmed between the end of the second lockdown in England and before Wales went back into a third lockdown. So thank you for watching this Q&A. It has really been great to film actually, and I'll see you for Christmas Eve. Stay safe and take care.